What was your inspiration for writing Boots Volume One?
To be honest, I was thinking about how people receive information, and it didn't come from a selfish place. It came from really my need. I felt as a budding organizer back when I was coming into this work in my 20s. I wish I had something like this, and I'm privileged now to teach folks through our political education work, and I feel like folks come into that work also needing that. You know what I'm saying? So I just wanted to produce something that would be helpful to folks. The type of teacher that I am, to be, real honest with you, I'm not gonna give you the answers. I'm gonna give you just enough to whet the palate for you to want to get more. If you're thirsty, you'll get more. I'm just gonna give you just enough to be like, there's more where that comes from. And so that's what I wanted to do with the book. The idea was just kind of like have this be available for folks. But the idea actually came, even the terminology, Boots, it came around 2020. I was back and forth going to the hospital, local hospital here. My son was in the hospital and recovering from a stroke. He was 7 at the time. And I'm walking from the car in the parking lot, and I'm just thinking like, yo, what would you call these like Maroons and other freedom fighters who fought? Like, what would you call them? Like, what would I categorize that? Because I knew I wanted to write this book, a collection of these ideas. But what would you call them? And it just came to me: Black owned and operated territories. Boots. Ooh, I like that. And so it like came with some other renditions before. But that was the idea, to be able to have it there, give people enough that they want to learn more, but so that they have it. Keep it G with you. When I was in college and I was learning about freedom fighters, two things happened for me. One, I realized that I didn't know that the personalities of movements were freedom fighters, that they were organizers. They were always depicted as do-gooders, right? They were just people to kind of talk about during Black History Month, or you talked about Gandhi and Helen Keller or whatever, like the important American liberal folk. And you might got some radical folks too, but they weren't really sold to me as organizers. So that was the one thing. So I have this reorientation to who these people are and how they're challenging systems. And then the second thing that happened to me is that I didn't realize that organizing was a part of what I know now as the Black radical tradition. Like, I didn't know that all of these organizing formations were it. I thought Black people stopped organizing during the 1960s. Like that was it. So when I think about economic development, when I think about armed struggle and all of that, I didn't see that as organizing. I didn't see that as activism. So I didn't see myself in it. And I rejected it. I thought it was something that white people do. They chain themselves to trees and shit. And, just kind of like, oh, well, yeah, we're going to stop people from doing this thing. I was like, man, I ain't with that dumbass shit. So for me, I didn't see a connection. And when the do-gooder thing turned into here, these freedom fighters, now I'm starting to learn more and get intrigued about who these people are. And then over time, what were they connected to and what did they do? The institutions that they were connected to and the other people who were a part of it. And so my thought was really just to come from that place, because I knew that was my experience, and I know that if we're going to do this work in a protracted way, we're going to have to do it with people who have a similar understanding, who have a similar thirst of not only learning about men and women and non-binary folks who are freedom fighters, but also the freedom fighting institutions. So that was the whole idea.